Welcome back. Cattlemen and Cattlemen, we like to celebrate the wonderful families involved in our industry. Reporter Sharon Alseth recently had the chance to catch up with one such family in Claremore, Oklahoma. Let's take a look at a day in the life of the Gebhart family.
There's a story on every cattle ranch. For Richard and Susan Gebhart of the Beacon Hill Ranch, that story begins in the early 20th century.
In 1910, my great-grandfather bought this place, moved here and built the barn first, and then once he had the barn squared away, he built a house, and it was his wife and daughters. My grandma had 3 sisters, and so when they all moved away and went elsewhere, my grandmother stayed here with my granddad. And they initially had dairy cattle ages ago, but then switched to beef cattle and eventually switched to purebred Hereford cattle. So as my grandfather got older and was unable to take care of them, Richard and I came.
We keep Hereford cattle because they do well in the heat, they do well in the cold. They're very efficient in their utilization of forage and cubes. The other thing they do, if you're a black cow guy, you want a shot of hybrid vigor, a Hereford bull will flat put some vigor in your cattle. We like our purebred Herefords because of the ease of keeping of the mothers, and they just seem to do well. The other reason we really like Hereford cattle is the disposition. Life's too short to be run over by cattle, and so we like our cattle to be nice and calm.
The operations on the Beacon Hill Ranch have evolved over the years to maximize efficiencies and improve performance.
Normally what we focus on is what in our mind's eye is an ideal mama cow. And you know, if we can get the genetics and the performance and the reproductive efficiency in that cow that we're happy with, then you know, we just try to improve that one generation after the next. And by virtue of doing that, you know, we'll come up with ones that phenotypically will make good show heifers for us too. But really what we're more interested in is just a good mama cow first, and if she's a good show heifer too, then that's icing on the cake.
Traditional calving seasons are January, February. About 4 or 5 years ago, we moved our calving season to March, April, so that we time it with the growing of the grass. 2 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, as diesel got more expensive and it cost more and more money to roll up a bale of hay, we're using more and more stand-in forage here. I've reduced the hay cost by half. The real bottom line is I've learned to work with nature and not try to modify nature.
Marketing, too, has been reevaluated along the way.
We kind of market things a little bit in a non-traditional way because we calve a little bit later. We wean our calves a little bit later. And I'm able to then market calves in as early as December when the rush is not on the market, and I'm able to look at the timing of those cattle and the income from those cattle and look at my tax situation and either defer that income until January in the next calendar year or keep it in the current calendar year.
Family is extremely important to the Gebhart operations, with 2 daughters raised on the ranch.
One is a senior at Oklahoma State in Stillwater. The other one is married. Her husband is an ag teacher, and they live here on the place. And I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter, and so we've already marked the future calendar. We know when her first Hereford Junior National will be. And, you know, yeah, we're very fortunate that we all work together and collaborate on the cattle.
The vision of the Gebharts goes far beyond property fences.
Over the last 6 or 7 years, I see a great threat to our industry, and I think it's important for producers and cattlemen to get involved. You know, I was looking at a number the other day, and whether it's true or not on the internet, but there are twice as many people that say they're vegetarians or not eating meat than there are people involved in production agriculture right now. I think it's important that we advocate on our behalf and teach the public about what we do.
The moral of the story for cattle producers is to be active in standing up for your industry.
Don't be afraid to tell your story. You know, because I think people are more interested than you think they are, and I think there are so many ways to just weave it into everyday conversation in your off-the-farm workplace, you know, and to do it in a nice, friendly way that helps people understand who we are and where we all come from.
It's also crucial to be involved in groups representing your interests with consumers and legislators.
If we are only 3% of the population of the United States, involved in production agriculture, it's real easy for our voice to be lost in Washington, D.C. I think it's important for every cattleman to belong to a state association, his local association. I don't even agree with everything that NCBA necessarily does in their policy, but I think NCBA is the most effective voice I have to be heard at the federal level.
The Gebharts don't just talk the talk. Richard has been active in many state and national organizations, and both are graduates of the Masters of Beef Advocacy program at NCBA. Reporting from Langley, Oklahoma, I'm Sharon Alseth for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
You can learn more about the Beacon Hill Ranch by visiting our website at cattlementocattlemen.org.